Welcome back to my channel. Today we're painting some honeysuckle that's pictured on the left. On the right we have an inspiration picture which is part of my birth flower series where I painted all 24 birth flowers. There's 2 for each month. This is part of June's, and all 24 are available on my Etsy shop, Jenna B Studio, where you can digital download and print. So you can hang these in your home, or you can gift it to a friend, maybe as a card or something like that. But you're probably here for the painting, so let's move on to the tutorial part of this video. I have my reference photo of honeysuckle here. I'm going to set it on the right and work here on the left. Let's grab size 6. Round brush is the most important part here. And I'm going to get right to color mixing. Grabbing some water on my brush. Let's start with that pinky color. I have Rose Lake in this well right here. But whatever pink you have is good. You can add a purple undertone if you want to, or a yellow undertone, or just leave it as is. All right, I have a little bit of that paint mixture on my brush, and we are going to start laying down the paint in almost like a cone shape. We're just going to begin to create just this circle shape here in this lightest pink shade, not worrying too much about this dark paint yet. Just those few initial flowers. Switching up the paint ratio, there's a little bit more pink here. Let's go for one down there. All right. Next up, I'm going to work on this lightest yellow. So about the same water ratio, less paint, more water for these first brush strokes. There's one. One of the important parts about these first flowers is that they are all open and all on an angle. You don't want anything pointing directly to the left or to the right, up or down. So make sure everything is open and has a curve to it. We'll let that dry a little bit more, and in the meantime, start working on this initial branch coming down. I'll switch to my size 2 brush and start mixing up in my burnt umber, which is my brown color. There was a little green on top here, so there might be a little bit of a green undertone, but that's fine. Very light with your hand. Coming down. This should also be very imperfect looking. There we go. You can put your leaves wherever you want, but also remember we want that same open look. We don't want any of the leaves looking stiff, which is what comes from directing it directly up or down. So avoid that if possible. Switch back to your larger round brush and start mixing up your green. I have sap green here, and I'm going to keep it the same as this one. In this one, it looks like I mixed a little bit of brown into it, so I'm going to mix some of my burnt umber into my sap green to give it a more earthy tone. Won't be exact, but it's pretty close. We'll come right up here. I'm about to come back through these leaves and add some more water these couple that are on the darker side, but I'm going first with that heavy pigment. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I have less paint on my brush now, and we're just adding a little bit more interest to the leaves. Now I'm adding extra paint on this one because he was extra light. Okay, the leaves are done. Let's come back to the top of the flower and mix up our brightest pink, which I'm not even mixing up, honestly. I am just gonna leave it simple as Rose Lake, not adding anything else to it. So we just get this nice vibrant pinky color. And this is where we come in with these, I don't even know what they're called, honestly, these little prong-like things. So right at the center of the flower, there's a bulb at the top. You can see it's heavier and then goes thin. So we'll be here, heavy with the brush, and then bringing it to a point. Heavy with the brush, bring it to a point. Just have a few of these. I might add a little violet now to my mixture, but you can do the same with any sort of purple you have. Right there. I'll go one more over here. These also need to point right down to the center. Very important with this flower. I did not let that dry enough, so here's how you can fix it. Sometimes the bleeding is gonna look pretty, other times it's not gonna look the way you want it to. For me, I know this is still wet, and so I have plenty of time to save it. I am just going over with a rinsed brush, just making it more fuzzy, so you're almost giving it a second chance to blend in a more natural way. I'll do the same thing with this one, just right along the edge. We don't want to touch it any more than we have to. But if it's necessary, it's necessary, so consider it practice. That looks good enough for me. I am going to follow up with a couple yellow variations. Heavy and light, heavy, light, maybe one more. Okay, back to size 2. You can mix up your paint. I have yellow ochre, so if you have something, or if you only have like a primary yellow that's on the very bright side, you can add a little burnt umber, so a brown, to mute it, and you'll get something very similar. We're taking this color where we have these tiny little pokey sticks coming right out. These should be quick and following the same direction. So this yellow was pointing that way. I want the lines to follow exactly right down to the center of whatever individual flower you're working on. Probably 3 or 4. Let's take that same color mixture and add a few polka dots right there at the very end. And if you want to, grab enough paint on your brush that you can splatter a little bit at the very end. Make sure you're still using your tiny brush for this, or you will get more than you hoped for. I went ahead and finished off the honeysuckle with a pen using the micron size 5 for details. You could leave it just the paint, you don't have to add the details, that's up to you, what look you're going for. For my custom birth flower paintings, I always just use the paint. So you saw every step that I typically do if I paint this flower. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you like the details or do you like it simple with just the watercolors? Thank you so much for joining for another tutorial. This is part of my summer illustration series, and so far we painted watermelon, starfish, and now honeysuckle. So be sure to check out the other 2 videos if you haven't yet watched, and I will see you in the next video.